A sleepy first period dooms the Sharks, but hey, 10 more games to go.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite stinky team from the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even if they've lost 9 straight games for the 4th time this season, even if they can only get one shot on goal in the first period, even if we got 10 more games to go. So if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And the Sharks continue their losing ways, losing 3-2 to the Minnesota Wild in a game where, again, they couldn't do anything in the first period. So we're going to talk about this game, dig into the numbers, talk about Mackenzie Blackwood's bounce back, and if Henry Thrun might have found the right partner. So we'll dig into all that here. Plus, at the end of the show, we will a nice guide for the tank. What we're kind of rooting for here in the last 10 games as we're trying to navigate getting the Sharks in the best possible position to have the best premium picks in this year's draft. So before we do get into all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right. The first period was kind of the big story of this game as the Sharks looked like they were still waking up. Getting one shot on goal in a 20-minute period. That's actually almost impressive just to kind of not be able to do that. But the first period I think doomed the Sharks, and if it wasn't for Mackenzie Blackwood, who we'll talk about here in a minute, kind of holding down the fort, this could have been a 5-1, 6-1, 7-1 type of game that we have, one of those laughers that we've seen plenty of times out of San Jose. Give credit to the Sharks, though. They played a very competitive last 40 minutes, but this is what we've seen out of the Sharks basically all season, right? You get 30 minutes or so of competitive hockey. It's just, where is it going to be? Is it going to be in the first 30 minutes or is it going to be in the last 30 minutes? The Sharks got the last 30 minutes where they were played competitive hockey. I would say the last 40 minutes of where they played competitive hockey in this game. You can't, the Minnesota Wild, they are a team that is fighting for a playoff spot and every point matters to them. Just like every loss matters for the Sharks right now. But you can't really expect to be in a lot of games when you get one shot on goal in the first period. And that one shot was from noted offensive defenseman Kyle Burroughs. The Sharks did have 7 shot attempts at least, but still that's just not a sustainable offense. But credit to the Sharks though. When we dig into the numbers here a little bit, you'll see just how much better they played in the second and third period. And you wonder if the Sharks had started this game on time, if we're talking about a Sharks win in this situation here. But I think a lot of credit does have to go to Mackenzie Blackwood, who coming back from injury, those first 2 games looked really shaky at times. And Blackwood was absolutely stellar tonight in net for San Jose, especially you think about those first 2 power play opportunities for the Wild in the first, in the first period there. Blackwood was ridiculous. The Wild in 4 minutes had 16 shot attempts with 10 shots actually on goal and 8 scoring chances, 5 high danger chances, and 1.3 expected goals for. And that was in 4 minutes of power play time. Blackwood kept the Sharks in this game. And if it wasn't for Blackwood, like I said, this game would be we'd be talking about we'd probably be talking about something else, to be honest, if it wasn't for Mackenzie Blackwood doing what Mackenzie Blackwood did tonight. So that is good to see. It's good to see Mackenzie Blackwood kind of rounding back and forth. We've kind of seen these little bit of lulls, especially coming back from injury. Blackwood has that's always been the story with Blackwood, right? Is when he's healthy, he can be absolutely outstanding. When he's not, you can see these types of performances and some of the recent performances out from him, and it's good to I think that's going to be something that the Sharks are going to have to keep in mind going forward with Mackenzie Blackwood. I know he's got at least one more year in San Jose, and we'll probably kind of play it by ear from there. I assume that's going to be the kind of their position, but having a strong backup / strong third goalie, that AHL NHL goalie, is going to be very important for San Jose, because again, we know Blackwood's played really well this year, but he's missed 2 to 3 big chunks of time this year because of injuries. So having another competent goalie who can kind of hang in there and hold down the fort for you while Mackenzie Blackwood does get a little bit healthy, at times. But yeah, I think it's, again, good to see Mackenzie Blackwood playing well. And I mean, like I said, he played really well tonight. So in all situations tonight, Blackwood had 29 saves on 31 shots, 2 goals against. Expected goals against was 3.08, 935 save percentage, 8 high danger saves on 10 high danger shots, 8 for 8 on the mid danger, and then 12 for 12 on low danger. And that first period, again, Minnesota basically just lived in the slot. Like if you look at after every period, I kind of tweet out the shot map. That first period, it was just like a huge glob of red right in front of where Mackenzie Blackwood is stationed. So good to see him kind of back on his game. And the way the Sharks played tonight, like, I think they're going to steal a game here, and this team desperately needs a win. Very much, we're want to secure the best odds, but this team needs a win here soon, right? And like you can't just continually lose all these games. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if either St. Louis or Seattle, if the Sharks steal one here in one of these next 2 games, especially if they continue to play how we saw them play in the last 40. And Seattle has been a team that has really struggled recently. I'm kind of circling that one as a potential win for the Sharks. Again, you can't lose them all. This team needs just win one every once in a while here. So I'm circling that game on Monday against the Kraken as a game where I think San Jose gets a win, especially because of the way they have played recently. So yeah, I mean, I think, and the other kind of big takeaway from this game was William Eklund played really well. So we'll dig into the numbers of him and his line, playing on a new second line with Bailey, Cunnin, and Eklund. Eklund was all over the ice tonight, making plays in the defensive zone, making a ton of great opportunities in the offensive zone. Luke Cunnin just missing on a couple opportunities here, but Eklund back to being Eklund, right? I know we were little worried, I think, with him playing center. I think, again, goes back to William Eklund playing on the wing. I just think it's a better position for him. I think it allows him to kind of not have to think so much. And they're kind of talking about in the broadcast of not having to think. He can just go play. And I think with center, you have to kind of think about where you're at. You have to think about draws. You have to think about that a little bit more. I think for Eklund right now, just playing on the wing is probably his best spot. And that doesn't mean I don't think Eklund can maybe transition to center at a later point, a la Tomas Hertl. But I think right now is best for Eklund just to keep him on the wing, let him do what we've seen him play really good hockey as of late. I know he's playing on the 4th line for a couple games, but last game he was awesome, right? You saw it again tonight, just him setting up his teammates, making his line better, being the best player on his line. And I think that's the best spot for Eklund right now as we kind of wind down the rest of the season. So we'll dig into the numbers of this game, look at how the Sharks charged back, but just weren't able to kind of finish things off here, and talk about Thrun and Addison and this combo here. There might be something to it, and then look at a guide for the last 10 games, a tanker's guide for the last 10 games. So we'll get to that here in just 1 minute. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, performance, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. There are 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you need, what you're looking for. And with eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because at eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easier to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's dig into the numbers here. So, yeah, the Sharks, again, this first period, like, if they don't poop the bed in the first period, we're probably talking about a win, because the Wild really tried to kind of, like, just get out of here, and the Sharks outplayed. I know they were down for a good chunk of this game, but the Sharks honestly outplayed the Wild the second and the third period. So 53-27 of total ice at 5v5, 54-49 shot attempts in favor of the Sharks, which is not something you would think to say, especially with the Sharks managing 1 shot on goal and 7 shot attempts in the first period. 52.43 to 47.57 shot attempts in favor of the Sharks. Actual shots on goal at 5v5 was 26-21. For the game, it was 33 to 20, 32, 33. It's flipped back and forth to 27 in favor of the Wild. But again, it was 16-1 after the first period. Just shows like how much better the Sharks were in the second 2 periods. So the second and the third period, excuse me. Scoring chances for 24-24, 9-11 high danger chances in favor of the Wild, 1.66 to 1.77 expected goals for in favor of the Wild. Again, that's that second and third period. I know the Sharks gave up a goal 18 seconds into the third period, but they really bounced back from that and kind of really kind of put the pedal to the metal to try to tie things up, and just got a little bit unlucky. 28-11 shot attempts in the third period, right? 12-5 scoring chances in the third period. Actual shots was 17-9, 0.69 expected goals for in the third period. Like the Sharks probably were overdue for a goal right there. So that is, good to see this team is just not kind of laying down, and it would be very easy to, especially with the way this season has gone, for this team to just kind of lie down and let's just kind of finish up. So looking at the forward line, so we had Zetterlund, Granlund, Kostin, Eklund, Cunnin, Bailey, Zadina, Carpenter, LeBanc, and Bordeaux, Sturm, Hoffman. The Granlund line led the way in time on ice at 10:43 at 5v5. 12-11 shot attempts, 6-3 actual shots, gave up a goal, 0.17 to 0.3 expected goals for, 3-6 scoring chances, 0-2 high danger chances for that line, with 7-6-0 zone starts, excuse me. Eklund, Cunnin, Bailey played 10:04, 14-7 shot attempts, 6-3 actual shots, did give up a goal where everyone got mixed up on their defensive assignments. 0.28 to 0.22 expected goals for, 7-4 scoring chances, 3-1 high danger chances, and all this was 6-5 zone starts, so 5 defensive zone starts. That line was really good tonight, and I would like to see them continue to play them again. Everyone kind of has a role. Bailey forechecking, Cunnin. Cunnin's been playing pretty decently at center. And Eklund kind of being the straw that makes that whole line, kind of stirs the drink there. But that's not, especially with how many times we've seen that Eklund line kind of get caved in. Good to see that line have a nice bounce back tonight. So that Eklund Cunnin chemistries, you can see it there. If we can find a Cunnin replacement, a more skilled Cunnin replacement, you can see how an Eklund line could really look nice next year. Zadina, Carpenter, LeBanc, which was actually the fourth line, but they played 7:55 time on ice, 6-3 shot attempts, 4-1 actual shots, 0.22 to 0.17 expected goals, 3-1 scoring chances, 1-1 high danger chances, 1-4-2 zone starts. Then the Bordeaux Sturm Hoffman line played 7:37, 12-7 shot attempts, 5-3 actual shots, 0.41 to 0.31 expected goals for, 3-2 high danger chances, 8-4 scoring chances, 1-2-3 zone starts, so 3 defensive zone starts. And Bordeaux is an NHL player. You just kind of see where his time in the AHL, has kind of paid off. He's kind of learned some of those tricks of the trade. Great. There was a great play in the first period where Bordeaux is with the defenseman, kind of bigger defenseman, right? We know Minnesota's got a lot of kind of bigger defensemen. He's able to kind of avoid the check, make the defenseman kind of take himself out of the play. Bordeaux kind of reaches around, grabs it, gets the puck, and passes it to Mike Hoffman, who, if Mike Hoffman doesn't fumble that, that's usually a Mike Hoffman goal. Mike Hoffman, who's forgotten how to score except for like a streak of like 2 weeks, but this season. But again, like, you see those plays and you're like, okay, that's going to make Bordeaux's doing those things that is going to keep him in the NHL, right? And we saw, especially Bordeaux, much younger in his career, kind of, you see the flashy plays, but you can't see those like grit and grind, like those kind of play day-to-day plays, right? Those are the plays that are going to keep him in the NHL. It still has some work to do in its defensive zone, of course, right? But that they mentioned on the broadcast, his dad said he's got an NHL brain, but he's got stuff to work on. But that's one of those plays where you're like, okay, I think we can kind of put to bed the Bordeaux worries and what we kind of, there's a lot of worries, especially coming at the end of last season, where Bordeaux just hadn't really put things together. And I think that extra time to kind of marinate in the AHL has done him wonders. And I fully expect him to be an NHL player kind of from here on out, because I think he's one of the Sharks' best 9 forwards right now. So, and yes, they have a long off season of additions and stuff, but I think, again, you got to kind of figure Bordeaux is going to be in the mix from now on. So good to see Bordeaux doing this type of stuff. So the other interesting note was Henry Thrun and Calen Addison. So Thrun started the game playing with Ruda, who's been playing with kind of most of the season. And then we saw Addison and Thrun start to play together, and they were really good tonight. Which, again, we've talked about Thrun just kind of getting caved in, getting stuck in his own zone, and right, like, it's just getting outshot and all that fun stuff, right? Yeah, that defensive pair. Henry Thrun played 18-16 at 5v5, 23-9 shot attempts, 71.88 Corsi for. Calen Addison played 1907, 5v5, 27-17 shot attempts, 61.36 Corsi for. Look what happened. You put Henry Thrun with Calen Addison, who's an offensive defenseman, right? That is why Addison was brought. He was brought here to help on the power play, et cetera, et cetera. And you put someone who can help move the puck. And that way it's not having to put, and I know Addison has his issues, et cetera, and we'll have a fun conversation about Addison this offseason, but you put these guys together, and look, now Thrun isn't having to kind of be the primary puck mover, and they work off each other. Thrun can kind of focus more on being a good defenseman. Addison can kind of but they also have overlapping skills, so where it's not just one guy has to do everything. If Thrun needs to carry the puck, like, it just made a lot of sense, and they had a great night. And I'm curious to see if these guys can continue to play better. If I'd keep them together for the last 10 games, right? See how it works, right? You're very much in the throw stuff at the wall situation and see what sticks. And if the Addison Thrun pairing sticks for you right now, that is again one less question we have to try to kind of answer. So good to see Thrun, who has struggled a lot recently, right? I'm very high on Thrun and where he's, kind of where he's going to end up with. But I think, again, it's all about finding the right piece and the right partner. And I think the Addison Thrun line combo just kind of makes a lot of sense right now. So we will talk about the tank and kind of what to root for here in the last 10 games. We're going to look at the Sharks schedule, the Blackhawks schedule, and the Penguins schedule, and kind of try to piece together what I think is going to happen and kind of where that puts each team here going forward. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. All right. So got some good news and bad news with the tank tonight. Chicago, unfortunately, they lost 2-0 to the Ottawa Senators, but the Penguins won. So that kind of starting the Penguins starting to kind of give some space between them and Buffalo. So as of right now, we have number 8 seed. The number 8 seed, I guess, going one tankathon standings. Anyway, 8 is Calgary at 71. 9 is Seattle at 71 points. They do have a game in hand on Calgary. Buffalo has played 73 games. They're at 73 points. Pittsburgh, which is at number 11, 74 points at 72 games. New Jersey, 76 points with 73 games. And then the Islanders, 77 points with 72 games. So that's kind of that grouping there. We got to kind of see kind of where they kind of finish up and jockey there. But right now, Sharks have Pittsburgh pick at number 11. So let's continue with the Pittsburgh pick and kind of see what's remaining for them. So the Penguins have the 10th toughest schedule going forward with their strength of schedule is at 0.578. Just for comparison, the Sharks is at 22 at 0.36 schedule. And then Chicago is at 4th toughest at 0.59 strength of schedule. So that's kind of the combined winning records of the teams that they have left to play there. So as for Pittsburgh, though, here is their final 10 games. So they play Saturday at Columbus, which is a very winnable game. They just beat Columbus at home 3-2. Then they play the Rangers on Monday, the 1st. I'm going to kind of just mark that as a loss. The Rangers, again, Rangers are one of the best teams in the NHL. They're trying to kind of lock up potentially a number 1 seed, right? Then they play the second night of a back-to-back on the road at New Jersey. Good thing is it's not much of travel. So you're already going to kind of be in the area. So that's a toss-up game because we want New Jersey to continue to lose to kind of help out that second round pick. Then they play at Washington on Thursday the 4th. They're back home against Tampa Bay. So these are going to be some tough games here. Then they play at Toronto. They play Detroit, who's kind of been in a free fall here. Boston, who's still pretty good. Nashville is hot, and they end the season against the Islanders. And that game for the Islanders could be like do or die type of situation for them with their schedule, which is a little bit. The Islanders need to win. Like every game is the most important game in the world for the Islanders as they're trying to kind of get back into the playoffs. As you know, they are 4 points behind the Washington, who's in the last playoff spot as of right now. So, and tied with games played. So Islanders that could be very much a do or die type of game for the Islanders. So, need Pittsburgh to kind of steal a couple games here, at least be competitive, try to get as many points as possible. And I think the Sharks are going to be in a pretty good spot to get that 11th or 12th pick. The reason why I say 12 is because, again, you could only move up 10 spots in the lottery. If the Penguins are at 12, it eliminates the potential for them to win Macklin Celebrini, which is something nobody wants to see, right? We don't want to see Pittsburgh get another just amazing player because that wouldn't be very fair. Anyway, it's our turn, right? It's our turn to get a really good player. So that's where Pittsburgh's at. The other one, Chicago. So their schedule here is, like I said, starts to stiffen up here. They did what they had to do though in this stretch, right? They went 5-5, or in the last 10 games they've gone 5-5. They got some wins here that we desperately needed them to pick up, right? They beat some of these bad teams. They lost to the good teams, et cetera, but they got some wins. So they are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. Saturday, they play the Flyers in Philly. Then they play the Islanders on Tuesday in New York. Again, both those teams are fighting for a spot. They play Dallas, which has just dismantled us. They play Minnesota on Sunday. They play the Blues. They play Nashville. They play Carolina. They play Vegas. And they play LA. So it is going to be kind of tough sledding for them. You point to one of those, either the Wild or the Blues as a potential win there, but they might be just about done with winning games here this season. But the good thing is the Sharks do have a 7-point buffer, right? And it doesn't matter how many points, you just need at least 1 point. They do have a 7-point buffer, plus they own, like the Sharks own all the positive tiebreakers, right? Less regulation. They have 3 less regulation wins than Chicago. They've also, like, the head-to-heads are all in favor of Chicago. Like, you just need to finish tied or better than them. So the Sharks do have plenty of kind of buffer here going forward. So again, the Blackhawks might squeak out 1 or 2 wins here. We never know. You never know with the Islanders what you're going to get. That's such a hit or miss team, but they're probably just about done winning games here. So as for your San Jose Sharks, here's their last games, last 10. So they play Saturday at St. Louis. They play versus Seattle on Monday the 1st. I think that's a winnable game. I think they're going to win. I think the Sharks are going to win one of these next 2 games. Then they play at LA, who's been much, much better as of late. They've been way better as of, so they've been a lot better as of late after that kind of mid-season swoon. Then this is a very important stretch here. You play St. Louis, again, kind of fighting for a playoff spot. Arizona has been bad. Calgary's been free-falling. Seattle's been free-falling. 3 of those games, basically all those games until that second Seattle game, are at home. The 2 of them are there is a back-to-back in there with the Blues and Arizona on the weekend of the 6th and the 7th. But you cannot go on a winning streak there. That is where the Sharks need to continue to do what they're doing. But I expect by then you're going to start to see some AHL call-ups, whether it's Mukamadul, Gushin, et cetera. Like, you're going to see this roster kind of continue to be what it is. Devin Cooley's probably going to get a start in there as well. So then you play at Minnesota, who's, again, going to be in every point counts mode on the 13th. You are versus Minnesota. That's your last home game on Saturday the 13th. Then you play at Edmonton, who's in trying to kind of solidify themselves in the Pacific, and then you play at Calgary on Thursday the 18th. So Sharks do have some winnable games here. So don't blow this 7-point lead, especially with Chicago having a much tougher schedule than the Sharks going down the road here. So you do have a nice 7-point cushion. Don't lose this 7-point cushion here. And that stretch right there does worry me a little bit. All right, it's looking good, but that stretch of versus Arizona, versus Calgary, at Seattle, that has like 2 out of 3 wins written all over it, and it worries me there. So, but yeah, that's your kind of guide to the last 10 games there. Hope for Pittsburgh to kind of steal a couple, keep them in that 11-12 spot. Chicago win at least like 2 more. If Chicago wins like 2 more games, I'll feel really, really good about the Sharks' kind of chances here. And I think their quote unquote like tragic number right now is 12. So they 12 a combination of 6 losses / wins for the 6 Sharks losses or Blackhawks wins, kind of puts them in the spot of where they need to be. So if that's my goofy math, anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. We'll be back on Monday to talk about the Blues game from on Saturday. Plus, we'll keep up with the prospects playoff games, see kind of how they're doing. We got plenty of action going on there. We also have a good interview next week for you with a Barracuda player. I'm not going to spoil that for you yet. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until Monday. Bye, friends.